Hi, I'm Connie, and I'm the director of Jeffrey, and I'm with Paul Debevec, who is our virtual lighting consultant. And today we're going to talk about the lighting that we created for Jeffrey and some of the challenges that we faced and how we resolved them. There were some specific things that we wanted to do with Jeffrey with the lighting, and maybe we can just start and to talk about some of the challenges.
Well, Jeffrey's been an interesting production to be part of. It has a lot of very interesting locations, exteriors, interiors. It has locations that transform from one kind of room to another kind of room in the ballroom sequence, for example. And all of these pose a lot of lighting challenges. If you do need a set to change lighting quickly or to transform from one kind of place to another kind of place, that can be done in CGI live around your actors and have a little bit of lighting interaction onto the actors themselves as if they're really there. So because of that, it was great to be able to work with the Lux Machina stage, which has this nice set of LED panels. It's got them behind, which will be in camera. It also has panels on the sides and above. It doesn't have any panels in the front because that's where the camera needs to go. So one of the challenges that you have using virtual production today is how do you bring in your additional lights that will kind of represent what's going to be there in the front of the environment and have that work well with what's being kind of displayed as image-based light sources on the virtual production stage. And that was certainly one of the things of the challenges that we had to work with.
You were involved with a lot of the setup when we were working with the team at Barnstorm and working with the Unreal artist. So, what did you think of that whole process?
Well, one of the things that happens when you're using these virtual sets is they actually need to be displayed in some kind of interactive real-time graphics, for example, using a game engine. And the reason for that is that as you move the camera around, you actually need to adjust the perspective of how it shows the set on the LED walls to be what a real camera would have seen of that set. Now, if your set happens to be exactly coincident with where the walls were,
Right.
then everything works. You can just put it on the walls, move the camera however you want. But since the idea is that you could show like a hallway that goes down and that's going to be deeper than where the LED's walls are, then you actually have to adjust the perspective on that as you move the camera. Well, now you have to have a photorealistic version of the set that you can render in real time that is going to be real enough to look like it's the place that these totally real people and real actors belong in.
Right.
And that means real-time photoreal computer graphics. It's possible these days, but it has to be done. It has to be done with some forethought. And one of the techniques you can do is to use some of the more advanced lighting techniques that are out there: global illumination, radiosity, ray tracing, those kinds of things, which you can't really do in real time just at the snap of your fingers these days. Kind of pre-compute that into the texture maps and how everything is being laid onto the set so that you have the value of that computation, but you can still move around it in real time. And so that's one of the techniques that we used with the people designing all the sets and doing the renderings to make it work for Jeffrey.
And specifically, that's for the sconces, we were able to dial that in. And then for the windows, we did a combination of baked in lighting with real time lighting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the windows actually, they got a lot harder because they have curtains, and curtains are made out of cloth.
Right.
Cloth is an interesting material because when you light it from the back, light will seep through to the front. It's kind of a semi-translucent scattering material, and it will bounce light within itself. Light that hits the back of the curtain from outside will then bounce and light up the little bit of wall that's around the curtain. And if you're missing that, it doesn't look very realistic. Something's wrong. Maybe you don't know what's wrong, but it just doesn't look like a real curtain on a real window. So those were some of the things that needed to be pre-computed. But at the same time, you want to be able to adjust the lighting so that it looks good in camera on the day and be able to have some artistic control. And obviously some of your scenes take place, morning, afternoon, at
Yeah.
night. and you have to make that level of interactivity happen well as well. So all of those things played into the design of how the lighting got baked into the textures, what could be baked in, what needed to be done live, and how they would interact correctly with each other.
And then what are some of the things that you found interesting about the project?
You know, you wrote it to tell a story because you had a particular vision and you weren't thinking about what technology was going to make it happen when you wrote it. And that's fantastic. And now we're finding this kind of collision between technology that's available and what you need to do to tell your story. And they collide in a different way than anybody else's project has because you've written something that's different than anybody else's, tried to do these techniques for. One of the things is dealing with doors.
Yeah.
There's a door somebody has to come in and out to get into the hotel lobby.
Right.
I mean, you have options here.
Yeah.
You can build the door, you can display it on the LED panels, or you can try to say, well, you know what, we're not going to get it in camera. We're going to have to put it in post-production.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's just a door. Why is this hard? Turned out that was really hard. These LED panels are going to have to, for some of the shots, display literally the wall where it is supposed to be. And they're more designed to show like scenes that are like expansive desert landscapes that are really far back, not stuff that's at this level. So now you're really pushing, the resolution of the LEDs because, you're going to have the actors closer to them than you would think. The actor's going to be at this physical door, but then it starts LEDs over there. And I didn't think that was going to work. I thought, these are all the things that you should be justifiably scared of trying to pull off. And then on set, it was dialed into the point where you couldn't really tell where the real door and the little bit of wall around it and the digitally displayed wall actually started and ended. It was a successful illusion.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. It matched really well. Even the digital lamps and those kind of seamlessly matched all of the practical lighting.
This is kind of bleeding edge stuff. Luckily, the team that you put together really was up for this kind of challenge.
Everybody on the team was willing to try and make it happen, which was amazing. And I think there were a lot of things where I said, hey, I want to do this and this and this. And everyone's like, yeah, we've never done that before. But everyone was like, we're going to try and make it happen. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. This is Connie. I'm the director of Jeffrey. And this is Paul Debevec, who is our virtual lighting consultant. And thanks for joining us.
Cool. Great to be here. Thank you.